Someone runs up to him and says, "Hey, the world is coming to an end."
I got 18 dimes in each barrel, boy. You ever see what $1.80 can do to a $40 steer? Let alone a cheap little crook like yourself. Just taunt me again, boy. That's all I'm asking. Just taunt me again.
I'll make you famous.
I wouldn't give a bucket of piss for your future.
This is 12 Gauge Investigative. Let's jump in.
All right. How's everybody doing tonight on this Thursday evening? Welcome to my channel. My name is 12 Gauge, and this is 12 Gauge Investigative. I hope everybody's doing okay tonight. You know, I just really wanted to go on live just to show that beginning, but it's kind of like a work in progress. I thought that was funny though. Um, I wouldn't give a bucket of piss for your future. I love that movie, both of them. Anyways, tonight I'm gonna continue talking about what I talked about last night. I'm gonna show a video as well, um, where I got some of the shorts from early on when I started posting them. Um, I'm gonna show that video where y'all can see it, and also if Leslie wants to come up, I sent you the link in the chat. If you want to go ahead and come on up, Leslie, we can talk a little bit before I start the video. So let me put it in there again. There it is. You know, the world has gone crazy in a day. I swear. If we don't implode on these YouTube streets before this trial happens, I don't know what's going to happen to the world if they don't get their way, if they don't get whatever their agenda is, if they don't get their way regarding Brian Christopher Koberger. Because if you recall, in the very beginning, before any of this went down, it was a lot of talk about the judge was not strong enough. The judge was just going toward the prosecution. The judge this, the judge that. And then they got their wish as far as having the trial moved. And now it's still not enough. It's still about this, that, and everything in between. So I ask the chat and anybody watching this on replay in the future, what is going on these YouTube streets regarding people not able to be happy about anything that's going on in this case. Leslie, welcome to the stage. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
No
Can you hear
problem. No
me?
problem. Yeah, I can hear you. Perfect.
Okay.
You wanna you
All right.
wanna you wanna take a stab at that question?
What's that?
Well, these
Ask it
people,
again. Sorry, I was playing with the record or with the microphone.
it's okay. Well, these people regarding this Idaho case, will they ever be happy?
No,
What
no,
what makes you think that?
because either the ones who think he's not guilty won't be happy because they're going to find him guilty, and they're going to think that the judge was paid off, or just stupid things like that. And the one who don't think he's guilty or think he's guilty, and he gets, I don't know. I just don't think we're ever going to know the real truth. I
Okay.
really don't.
Well, I
Not the whole
mean,
story.
we watched a lot. I don't know if you watched the whole hearing yesterday from beginning to end. It was
I did.
a long hearing, and they had a lot of things go on. A lot of things were said. Um, I just
9 hours.
wonder. Yeah, I just wonder um, why it's so difficult for people to manifest the end result about the law. You know what I mean? Like, how come you can't accept that this judge is trying not to
It's
try
just
this in the public and
exactly,
is trying to keep everything from being exposed before the trial? Because what the use of the trial if we're gonna publicly try this man? You
exactly. And
know?
I think he's sick of the both of them acting like they're like in kindergarten and fighting about everything. If you have evidence, bring it in. If you don't, quit using an excuse. I don't have enough time, or I don't, I got too many. Well, sit down and watch the stupid stuff. And, he's just doing his job. I like him. I really do. I think he's just being a judge. I don't think he's got anything against any of them. I just think he's sick of the kid blame
Yeah.
game.
Well, I mean, it
But
would. What would he have to gain if he was biased?
exactly. Besides, yeah, throwing out of the case or off the bench, or I
What
think
would he
he's
have
just
to,
keeping the law the way
what
he
would he
knows
have
it
to,
for the state of Idaho. He's doing exactly what the law states for that state.
you know, it's just been an ugly thing since the very beginning. It's never been a united front about or for the victims in my eyes, in my opinion. It's always been about trying
Brian,
to, yeah, trying to show anything and everything, and everybody is guilty of potentially doing this. So once somebody gets cleared, or once somebody, there's no way possible you've gone down that road as far as you can go, then okay, we got to find somebody else. Then we got to find somebody else. And then over time, people just regenerate the old suspects. It's almost like we're back to the DoorDash driver now. We're back to the ride share driver.
right.
You know, it's just a
Yep.
general rehashed what has already been spoken about in these documents. I mean, these documents are pretty cut and dry. And for 2.5 years, that's all we heard. That's all we saw every day. What are they hiding? What are they trying to keep from us? They're sealing everything. We want to know. We want to know. We want to see. We want to see. Well, once you started seeing, you didn't like what you saw, so therefore You still weren't happy. Hey,
See, I
Molly, how you
think that.
doing?
Hi, Molly.
Hey,
Hi,
Bianca.
Bianca.
How are you?
Hi,
Hey,
Rodney.
Aquarius. Huh.
Hi, Aquarius. I
You
think that
know,
Anna is just playing off the prosecution. She wants to know exactly what they have. She wants to do her case off of what they have. Like she said in the beginning, they will find him innocent by the testifying of the prosecution's witnesses.
well,
So,
yesterday's hearing was not about innocence or guilt. None of these
no,
hearings have been about innocence or guilt. So the individuals that get mad to say, well, you're saying he's guilty. He's innocent. He's presumed innocent until, he's found guilty. Okay, well, let me drop something for you guys in the back. Nobody that we're seeing at the major players discussing about this case at this point have anything to do with his innocence or guilt. Those 12 jurors and the alternates, if they're ever needed, are the only ones at this point that are going to decide that. So all the stuff that you're conjuring up and you're regurgitating and all this stuff, the jury is the only one at this point that's ever going to find him guilty or innocent.
right.
Well, you know what's sad? I already heard they're going to pay the jurors off. Who is this imaginary they? Like
Right. They paid the judge off too, I heard. I mean, come
what?
on now. They paid the judge off too. That's what they're saying.
He works for the state, so that's why he's more pro state. Come
And
on.
yeah, wasn't he appointed by the Supreme Court too? I think
He was.
that's how yeah,
He
so
was. Reasonable doubt.
who's,
All the
who's,
defense needs in the minds of the jury. That's true.
who's paying him off? Donald Trump?
I mean, seriously, why would they pay this judge off? Why didn't they pay the judge off that tried Richard Allen? The judge that tried Lori Vallow? The
Now
judge that tried,
that one
you
I
know,
can kind of see though with Richard Allen because she didn't let no other evidence come in to where this judge is letting everything come in. He says, if you
right,
got it, bring it. You know, she's nothing like that other judge in Richard Allen's case. She didn't let nothing in there.
right.
So,
So why would this case supersede all these other cases regarding being paid off? The jury's going to be biased. Kind of
oh,
like the
I
defense
know.
is already insinuating that the jury could not, if they heard about his autism, you know, or they didn't hear about his
Yeah,
autism, that
but he's
they
not
would
even been
be
tested
looking
yet.
at,
That
they
came out
would be
yesterday.
looking, they would be looking at him as he was weird and making strange gestures and all this. Did you notice any of that
But
yesterday?
I didn't. I knew it. I seen his stare, but he's always staring. You know,
No.
stare. I guess not staring at one individual, just staring off and just stare at something. I guess. But why would
Right.
you put that in front of the jury in the first place? That just puts that in their minds.
Because she's trying to try this case in the public arena. And
But exactly,
that's why the judge always cuts her off. Because
exactly.
because it's not supposed to be done like that. She's always leaking stuff that has nothing to do with the question that was asked of her, the motion that she's trying to get across, any of that stuff.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
the state has been reprimanded as well. Both of them got reprimanded yesterday about their behavior. So,
Did you see
you
the way
know,
he was looking at that Ashley though? There's something up with that. They're thinking she did something And that's why
With
he
who?
asked her point blank with the prosecutor, the lady, the young girl that's with Bill
What did she
Thompson.
ask her?
He asked her, do you know of any instances where the, oh, help me think, Brady would come in now? And she said she didn't. She didn't have no idea, which means somebody did something illegal. And she said she didn't have no idea. But I think that comes from that Cyray's paperwork. He's trying to blame something on her, I think.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
don't,
why the judge was talking about his accusations could get people disbarred. She leaks enough,
right.
it
Yeah.
would
So
be a
I'm
hung
thinking that's
jury
why
or
he
a
asked her that.
so that's why that judge is always
I don't
shutting her down.
know.
But people believe that, well, he's being rude to her and he's only talking down to the defense. Well, it's their motions. The state isn't bringing these motions up. They're responding to the motion, but they
Yeah.
didn't bring these motions out. The defense did. They don't have
Right.
they don't have issues with the word murderer, psycho, sociopath, any of
I've
those
never
words.
heard that before in a court. Have you? Somebody been asking not to say those words?
No.
I have never.
I mean, it's
No,
almost
me
like
neither.
trying
Oh,
to dictate how everybody and anything is going to be ran in this courtroom, and it's not her decision at the end of the all of said and done. It's not her say. It's like, well, we don't want him to wear these type of shirts. We want him to look like this. We want him to sit here like that. It's really not their
I
saying
don't.
whatsoever.
I don't know why she wants him to come across like that because from what they said yesterday, he's not even been tested lately for autism. She's just going by his grade school reports,
Well,
from what I understood.
some
I hope I
well,
understood that right.
an expert did. I believe that he did. He was tested, and I mean,
I didn't.
everybody gets tested for the ability to understand the charges brought against them, what's being brought against them. Everybody has a psychological testing because you have to be able to be competent enough to stand trial. And if you're not, then they can't put you before a jury if you're not competent enough to stand trial. So, a lot of the stuff that was released about his childhood was based on probably the questions that were asked about his childhood, and most of us, if not all of us, didn't have no
Right,
idea that all this stuff even existed with him. I didn't know he had this stuff going on with him.
right, right. So what did you think of it? Did you think the judge was hard on him?
I I thought that like I've always thought in every hearing. Hey Molly, I'm gonna put the link up here if you want to
Because
jump on.
you're in that
Um,
environment. So do you think the judge was too hard on him? Should he take it easy on him because he's got a little bit of autism, which I didn't see?
no, no.
I don't-
The it's all I don't want to call it a game, but it's all tactic. It's
right.
trying to
Reason, yeah,
build,
reasonable doubt.
of course, but one thing is building on the next thing. So all these motions built from the suppression evidence. So it's for you if you want to come up. Um, so everything that was discussed in the suppression was building for this. So this, whatever the outcome is going to build on the next part of, whether the jury selection, how they go about it, what's being let in. If the judge lets certain things in, well, they're going to be looking for jurors to either assist with being sympathetic to those things, or if it's not let in, then the state was probably going to be looking for jurors that don't have an issue with the autism or with any of that stuff. You know what I mean? So it's all building on everything else. So everything that's going on, it's not this hearing going to make or break whether he gets out or not. There was a
I
lot
do
of
you,
people that were there were a lot of people that were believing that he was going to be set free yesterday, and that's
yes,
just
yes, because
that's
Cyray was supposed to show up. They thought for sure Cyray, that he was going to release him on Cyray's word.
they
Sorry.
still have to go. It doesn't happen that way. I don't even know
I think Cyray's, I
who
don't
even
like that word.
started. I don't even know who started that that statement that he would have been let go yesterday if Sire would have got to testify. Well,
Yeah,
Sire didn't get to
exactly.
testify just just because what the judge said.
Yeah, yep,
Eh,
because he didn't, yep, one-sided, yep. I don't like that Cyray. I don't think he's for real. I don't. All of his other
Well,
cases have been
I
thrown
don't
out.
know enough about him to really have an opinion, but I did feel a certain way after reading his affidavit. After I read it, I was just kind of like, well, I don't know if this is thorough enough for my liking. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah.
Hello, Molly. How are you?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Hi, Molly.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry, I'm sitting
Yeah, you
outside in my
sound
car,
good.
so
It's okay. I
I'm
think
sitting out on
Leslie's
my
sitting
porch.
outside.
Yep. I
I
put
just
my
got home from
hammocks
work
and
and
my
I'm like,
bird feeder.
I don't want to go inside. I just don't want to walk in my house.
That's fine.
I get that one
Doesn't that show
sometimes.
how off that is that they would actually think that Sire would be his saving grace and just walk out?
Hero.
Well,
Yep.
they've thought that with every witness that the defense has wanted to bring up. Now they're going towards who was the new one that they were talking about? Oh, Bicca Barlow. Bicca Barlow is going to be the savior now, since the
Yeah.
judge supposedly is not going to let Cy testify. We don't know that, but it could be a possibility. Now Bicca Barlow is going to be the saving grace. That's not how
Yeah, for the
court works. That's
IGG.
not how court works. And whoever believes this is delusional. What do you think, Molly?
I think I missed part of that when I was trying to log in, so I
We're
think
talking
they
about
did like just
how YouTubers believe that certain people have the capability to come into a hearing and give some evidence, and this evidence that's heard automatically the defendant goes free.
well, I feel like probably the reason that they think that is that if you look at the last really, really televised trials that have been on. You've got like what Youngblood or whatever that rapper name that went on for like 6 months, that was so ridiculous. You had the thing that was between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, which I understand those weren't murder trials, but you have so many things that trials that have been on public in the public eye and televised that of course they think that. Of course they think that, that's just going to be that's going to help them go free, that's going to help the cause. Because at the end of the day, they don't understand how, criminal courts work, how the law works, how a judge works, how a lawyer, what a lawyer has to prove, the relevancy of everything to even be able to be heard. Is a judge going to throw that out? Is it even going to make it in front of a jury? Like, just because it's heard in a courtroom doesn't mean it's going to be heard by the jury.
Right,
So
exactly.
I think that's just
Right.
this day and age of of everybody's got an opinion, everybody gets offended by everything. You know what I mean? Like you were talking about the murder. Oh, we can't say murder. You know what I mean? Like what? Like we're just gonna. I hate to say it this way, and it's gonna sound horrible. We're just gonna be candy asses, and we're not gonna say the word murder. I mean, like what? I don't know. It's just crazy to
Have you
me.
ever heard that
Like,
in
yeah,
another court ever?
no, I have not, and I have
Have you
sat
ever?
through a murder trial. I have sat through things in
Yeah,
my job, and no, it's like no, and I can understand if we were going to say, okay, we're not going to call him an NIGGER. We're not going to. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to allow this.
right,
We're not going to say the word bitch. Like, I could get that, but that is not a word that is in any way, shape, or form offensive.
right.
You know, I guess I
I
would
think
say
she's
like,
doing
you
it
know,
for the
somebody.
appeals. I think she already knows she's going to lose it. She's just doing it to bring the do the paperwork on the appeals already. So maybe it goes through faster or something on the appeals, saying he was out of
Well, or
line or he
he's
didn't.
going to be found a hung jury, a mistrial. You know,
Yeah,
she's setting him up to be able to say, her, watch, I guarantee they'll get so far into this trial and she's going to go, Your Honor, I want this dismissed. It's a mistrial because of this. Or I really feel like, you know, some of what she's doing, and like they have strategists who that's their job. And
yeah.
Yeah, of course,
Do
of
you
course.
think
telling
That
this
he's
is
done
their
this
file
job.
before?
to brush his hair this way.
Molly, do you
What
think
was
Do
he's
that?
done
what?
this before?
Do you
Do you
think
think
she's
he's done
done
it
this
before?
before?
Do I think he has done it before?
Do you think they were looking at him like in Pennsylvania? Why would his parents, yeah, why would his parents have to go to another grand jury on a different missing persons case and testify? Why? Why would his name even be
Well,
brought
see,
up?
and that,
I still don't get
that,
that one.
maybe it's a,
I don't
do we think
understand that.
maybe
You
it's a
don't go
family
to a
affair?
grand jury and have to. That's what I'm
Do we think it's
thinking.
a family affair?
Daddy and son.
Do we,
Daddy and son,
do we
maybe.
think that I mean, he
I
really
don't
is just the
know. But
perfect person if he didn't do it. Like he studied
have you
criminology,
ever
he
heard of that?
studied forensics. Well, see, what they would have gone to the grand jury about was to testify and to present evidence to the grand jury to see if there was enough evidence to bring the charges forth to be able to be prosecuted. That's what the grand jury tells you. So it's
Right.
wild to
Again, that
me
missing as a girl. But why would you bring his name up in the first place in another
he
missing
might,
persons case? I
yeah,
realize
but
these people weren't, kids weren't missing,
so
but
is
why
that
is his name brought up in another jury or another jury?
And when was like is that case closed now? Is that a cold case? Is that something that is public knowledge where you could do
No,
an open information request at? You know,
I think
there's
I
so
think they
much.
ended up
I
I think they ended up like saying that he had no involvement in that.
they went and testified. His parents went and testified
Well, I
on
But
his
know, but
behalf,
there
saying that he
were,
was at home.
but
yeah, the
who said he didn't
Pennsylvania
have
From
case.
what
anything
I
to do with
heard,
that? Who said he didn't have anything
right?
to do with it,
But
Martin? I mean, 12 gauge. Who said that?
Um,
his
Was it just
parents.
I
charges
don't
weren't brought
I don't
against him?
remember enough about the grand jury in Pennsylvania to really speak on it. I really don't. I
Because
mean,
just
I
because the
remember
charges
that they
weren't
were looking into a missing persons, and for whatever reason, the mom and dad had to go testify at a grand jury regarding this. So I don't know what they went and testified for. It's never been released that I
well,
know of.
and typically in a grand jury, defense doesn't present any type of evidence
No, the
normally.
prosecution does.
Now,
Right.
the
The
defense can
prosecution does.
speak. The defense can speak on behalf of their client. They can give a statement towards the grand jury. They can do that, but they don't typically have witnesses that they call.
Right.
And a lot of times,
So why was his name
defense attorneys aren't even present normally in a grand jury. Normally, it's the prosecutor
right?
and the
Salty, salty, salty nose.
And the
She said
prosecutor
nothing confirmed. Her name is Dan.
he must have been
Sorry.
the last person seen with her. There must be something to that, or they were online chatting. There's got to be something to it, or they wouldn't have just come up with this grand jury. Grand jury is not something that you just have weigh in on every little tiny allegation that happens.
They
You
had to
know,
have
if I
some
say the
evidence.
lady down
Yeah.
the street hit my dog, we don't take it to grand jury, right? Like, there's got to be evidence and something plausible for them to put in
Well,
front of that
true.
grand
Also,
jury.
the most of the individuals that testify in the grand jury at the law enforcement, anyway, the ones who did the investigation and had the evidence that they're bringing toward the grand jury to hopefully gain us an indictment. So the fact
Yeah.
that his parents
Well,
were
what I'm
asked
asking
to,
is why him in that grand jury? Why?
we don't
Why
know.
Brian in that other case?
We don't know. I
Exactly.
Okay,
mean,
but is he?
So were they looking at him back then?
But were the charges so?
You
Just
know,
because you
maybe
have something go to grand jury doesn't mean that he was ever charged criminally. If they think they have enough evidence for the charge,
no, but you have to
they'll
have some.
take it to grand jury, and if the grand jury
You have
says no
to have.
bill or
okay, y'all talk one at a time because it's starting to
Sorry.
intermingle. You're
no, I'm just
okay. Go
saying
ahead.
that there doesn't just because something went to grand jury doesn't mean he was ever charged in that crime. If the grand jury no billed it or they said whatever they said, however it came back, that he was never charged with that. You can take something to the grand jury and it doesn't have to be something that he was ever arrested on. I've seen that happen many times that we're like, well, we don't really know if we have enough evidence. We're going to put it in front of the grand jury. And if it comes back with an indictment, then we'll go and get our arrest warrants and arrest them. So it
Right.
may have been something to be
But my
on the
point
grand,
being, why were they looking at him in the first place for that?
but that's what I'm saying. He must
They're
have been
not.
the last person involved with her.
So there had to have been something there for them to even come across his name with that case too.
Yes, there had to have been some type of evidence for them to present
Something.
to that grand
Right.
jury. There's something
Yep.
for the law enforcement to say, well, his phone triangulated at this point at this time, and he was the last person
So
to see her, or
I'm wondering if they're holding that information until this trial's over to see what pops up or to see what happens. You know, maybe that's where they
I
finally
mean,
came up with his name and stuff since they don't want to admit it.
there's a lot of what ifs. You know, they could be running multiple investigations at once. We aren't being prevalent to any of that information. So I mean, it's really hard to know what's going on. You know, like Salty said, he was already in jail. So I mean,
Salty.
if if he was being looked at, then you know it would have made it easier to know where he's at. You know, if he was indicted, since he was already in jail, right?
Salty, can you do a FOIA request?
Well,
I know I'd
I
really
want to show this video before I get too late. And we can kind of talk about this video a little bit. But I thought yesterday was kind of informative. It was really had a lot of good points on the prosecution side. Um, but you know, only time will tell now. I just don't like the
right.
whole I just don't like the whole speculation stuff. I don't like to spend hours and hours and hours trying to figure out what they are going to do next. I don't like that kind of lives. I don't care for those because we really don't know at one particular point how it's going to turn out until the trial, you know? Well, people have asked me where I got some of the
Right.
short clippings that I've put on the shorts, and I got it from this one. It's called "The Idaho University Killer Trial by TikTok Detectives." Twisted Tales. So if you want to go and give this page a like, give them a subscription. After you watch this, it's very detailed. Um, so let's go ahead and watch a little bit.
This hour, we are tracking breaking news. Just a moment ago, Moscow police confirmed 4 people were found dead in a home just steps away from the University of Idaho campus.
If this was a true crime podcast, here is where I'd start. I'd tell you that this is a story which all began in a college town of Moscow, Idaho, USA.
This right here is where officers found 4 bodies yesterday. They were all University of Idaho students.
A crime that within days became the biggest story on the internet, with 2 billion hits on TikTok.
This is big news, guys. This is big. I'm gassed. I literally panicked.
Reaching the farthest corners of the globe.
I live in Australia and somehow this case made its way onto my For You page.
Millions of people logged on and tried to solve the crime. And I was hooked.
We are talking about the armchair detectives. Their voices are louder than ever.
My theory is that this was a jealousy killing.
Was he watching them on social media? Was he the stalker?
But how much of what I saw online was really true?
This is just my theory about what has happened.
That is my speculations. I want to know y'all's theories down below.
This case is important, and maybe together we can solve it.
I don't believe we're any closer to solving this case than when this whole thing went down 2.5 years ago. But that's my opinion. I don't know about y'all, but that's my own opinion. I don't believe that anybody online
I
is
totally
closer to
agree.
solving this. I mean, there's no way that you could possibly solve this. You might get close to the narrative that's being put out there or has been put out there at this point. But as far as solving it, there's still so much fighting going on. If we were close to solving it, all this fighting wouldn't be happening.
I can see University of Idaho signs everywhere. There's another vandal sign. U of I sign.
Moscow is a small town in northern Idaho of 25,000 people. Half of them are students from the local university.
It feels really strange to actually be here, walking down the main street of Moscow. It's so small and quaint and it's got a lot of character. It's like really different to what I thought it would be. I've seen people do video walkthroughs of this town on TikTok, but actually being here is really, it's really strange.
It's 8 months since I first heard about the brutal murders of 4 college students, Ethan Chapin, Xana Canodal, Haley Gonzalez, and Madison Rubin. I followed every detail of their story online.
I bought so many t-shirts.
I mean, I don't know how silly this sounds, but I've almost been mad at myself for not boarding a plane and flying to Moscow myself to walk around and just take pictures and do videos and all that other stuff. That way, for my own conscience or peace of mind regarding this case, I could see where it went down, how it happened, the trajectory of certain things that we've seen video-wise. I mean, but that's kind of obsessive. But I would think that, for myself, I'd like to go and check it out. And eventually just figure out
Let's go. I'll go with you.
what all the hype is about. You know what I mean? As far as the town. Because we've heard that the town is this and the town is that. I'd like to actually talk to the locals there. You're right, Jeff. Because, there's so much biasness in people's reporting of this stuff. You don't get the true aspect of feeling what it is for you. Like I'd like to walk over there where the grub truck was. Actually stand right there and see, okay, could you really have seen a car at this angle? Could you have seen the car? Could you seen the lights? Not that it matters at this point, but for my own peace of mind, I'd like to be able to walk through the timeline and actually be able to see everything other than the house. I
Well,
don't
why
know.
don't
That's
you
not.
fly to here, drive to here, and we'll go together? I'd love to
Well,
go.
where's here?
I'm like 3 hours away from there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But that
I
way you wouldn't
might
have to
just
pay
end
for a
up going.
motel room.
I might even go to the trial. Who knows?
I
know
want
that
to
sounds.
too.
I know that sounds obsessive, but how many other towns are you going to
I'd
get to
like
go
to
to
too.
big of a trial?
No one needs
Yeah.
as many t-shirts.
Yep.
Why have I done this? When you see that there's been a tragedy or there's a crime and you see it on your social media, you want to work it out, you want to understand it. Like, I feel like we all have this weird thing ingrained in us where we want to know what happened and why, and we want to know right now. I definitely think that the more you watch, the more obsessed you are, the more you think you might be able to solve a true crime.
This is a case of 4 University of Idaho students and how they were murdered in the middle of
I would be laying awake at night in bed on TikTok trying to get all the information I could. I remember I'd watched this piece of CCTV footage so many times that my boyfriend was next to me in bed and he was like, "Why have you watched that like 20 times? Sorry, you need to put the phone down. Like, it's like 1 a.m. But I was so obsessed with it.
They were there for a couple of hours.
Yo, this is so crazy what is happening right now.
What started as a carefree night for these 4 college friends, Ethan and Zaina, were seen at the Sigma Chi House on the Idaho campus that night.
On that same night, Kaylee and Madison were at a local bar from 10 p.m. to 1:30 a.m.
They were inside this club here.
Drinking, partying, having fun, letting loose before the holiday break.
And then they walked that way.
They got food and they went back to their house.
By 1:45, authorities say all of the students were back in their homes.
And then something happened to them.
I wish people would quit saying that. Kind of like Ann Taylor said yesterday. Whatever happened inside that house happened. Why are they scared to say these kids were murdered? Is she so afraid of that word she can't even say it herself? It is a trigger word for her. I mean, now I'm kind of like the other side. But seriously, just say that we're murdered. We're all adults. I don't know.
Maybe that's a trigger for him, though.
For who?
Maybe. For Brian.
But I think it may be part of her strategy is she doesn't say murder. Then the whole time, like she's trying to get that word thrown out of them being able to say or murderer in court. Then when in front of the jury, if you don't ever see anything bad in your life, if you don't see their murdered bodies in their rooms and whatever, like pictures of it, then it's not that real to you, right? So like if you don't use the word murderer or murder, like she's trying, then it makes it seem like, yeah, maybe he did something, but like what did he do? Like it makes it less real, maybe.
I can agree with that. Wholeheartedly.
Molly, do
So
you
we're
think
all
there was
clear.
somebody else
So we're all
involved?
clear. Hey, so we're all clear. 4 people were murdered inside the house, correct? Anybody object to that?
I object. No.
There was something about this crime that put a global spotlight on the small town of Moscow.
Sunday, November 13th, 1:04 p.m. Moscow PD investigating a homicide on King Road near campus. Suspect is not known at this time. Stay away from the area and shelter in place. Obviously, the first initial response is that is right next to me.
This is Tony. Tony was a neighbour of the 4 students and woke up to a crime scene on his doorstep.
You ever notice how people have fought this the whole time? It's like even before we got to this point, even before there was a Koberger, there was the investigators were screwing up the crime scene. They were not using gloves. They weren't using booties. They were contaminating the crime scene. It's almost like YouTube was already planning that reasonable doubt. I mean, I swear, it's like the YouTubers have planted these seeds for a long time. And who can blame them? It brings in money for them, right?
Right.
Do you think it's about that, or do you think it's about like a conspiracy theory and everybody's got one? I mean, everybody loves to think that like JFK was murdered by somebody else. I mean, this to me just falls right into that same conspiracy theorist. You know, the alien thing that's come out this last year. I feel like this just kind of goes along with the times that we are in.
Well, that could be, but
Very much so.
think about you've gone into crime scenes, Molly. If you forgot to put on your little booties or you forgot to put on a pair of gloves walking through the door, did that mean that you contaminated the whole crime scene? Does that mean that you contaminated everything that you walked through?
I mean, if you go in and you're, like I said before on another thing, if you go into a crime scene without your booties on or without your gloves on, you have contaminated that crime scene. But there are ways to, that's why you have the person signing you in and out and they take your fingerprints and your boot prints and your whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what I mean, there's ways to eliminate that person.
But in this house, the crime scene was Xana's room, Maddie, and Kaylee's room.
I mean,
Surely the kitchen, the living room, they could have found evidence there. But for the most part, I'm sure most of the evidence that was found in the bedrooms.
okay, but the whole house is considered the crime scene. I mean, the whole house
Well,
is, because
I
it's not
understand that,
just the rooms.
but the crime happened in the room.
Okay, right?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
think.
What?
You think those crimes happened in those rooms.
Of course they did. Where else? No, I'm not
Well,
even gonna.
All over the house.
I mean,
It would be all over.
did he break in? Is that part of the crime scene that he broke in? Was it breaking and entering? Was it just that he unlawfully entered if the door was unlocked? I mean, there's a lot that goes into other crimes that he committed in order to commit this crime, right? I
Right.
don't know. It's how you look at it, how the defense and prosecution present it. I mean,
What's how the
yeah.
jury's gonna interpret it at the end of everything? You know, the jury has the say now.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that people are putting so much emphasis on the prosecution and the defense and the judge. Because if the defense puts up a crappy storyline, if they do have to talk, if they decide to, they could lose the case for him.
But
If the
okay, let's
prosecution doesn't come strong with their evidence and the jury goes against what they're presenting,
okay, but let's
they
take it
could
back
lose.
even further. Let's take it back even further. When you look at a jury and you're picking a jury, right? Like you're not going to want somebody like me on a jury who.
You're cutting out. Hold on. What? You were cutting out.
You're breaking up really bad, Molly. Molly! Did we lose her?
You're muted now.
Molly!
Can you hear me?
No, you're still crackling.
Oh my God. Oh, give me just a second.
Get out of the car, Molly.
No, get in the car. That's where she has the best service.
Oh man, I'm serious though. 12 Gage, let's go. I'm ready.
I mean, as we're talking, we'll wait for Molly, but as we're waiting, we'll go ahead and continue playing this.
The crime scene here at the home of the 4 University of Idaho students has been very active all day long.
The whereabouts of the killer and the knife used are still unknown.
So there would have been police cars this entire line, security vehicles, crime scene tape everywhere. So it was overwhelming.
What was it like waking up on that first morning after the tragedy?
It was really bad. Coming up that staircase, there would be a gazebo right here, like a tripod right here, people standing, lights right down on here. It was very grim. It was no longer a metaphorical spectacle. It quickly turned into something literal, right? You ascend into this just like a circus.
It must have been really, really hard to kind of get to grips with what actually happened. And
I didn't really get to fully process it living here, but now that I spent some time alone and I can look back on it, it was really heavy. This is a spot that was otherwise innocent became sad. There's this sickening feeling of, oh my God, they're gone. All of the neighbors, residents, roommates are standing outside their door, just standing. Standing, that's it. Some people standing outside just to get a sense of safety. But I know some of them were standing outside wondering where their friends were.
Okay, Molly, you back?
Can you hear me? Hello? Let me get on my computer.
You're still cutting out a little bit.
Almost immediately, local speculation as to what happened made its way online. And it wasn't long before the true crime community got involved, and I was hooked.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Crime Circus.
this is 10 to Life.
We're going to be talking about this odd, tragic story.
Everybody's talking about it. It's on every darn news source right now.
Jonathan Lee Riches investigates 4 college students, Moscow, Idaho. They were brutally stabbed to death inside their home in the middle of the night.
When Jonathan Lee Riches started covering this tragedy, he had only a few thousand followers on his YouTube channel. He now has over 100,000.
I'm out here covering this case. Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button.
He travels nearly 3,000 miles from Florida to deep dive into every little bit of information that surfaces on this case. He's agreed for me to follow him as he creates content for his channel, JLR Investigates.
Are you getting changed?
Yeah, different outfit.
How comes?
I like to keep it interesting, right? I don't like the same outfits. I feel like each one warrants a different shirt.
How many other shirts and outfits do you have with you?
See if you want.
Yeah, show me. Please show me.
Got BAM, Press, JLR Investigates.
Oh, wow.
Media.
Lots of brand
Media,
names.
lots of brand names, and then got multiple shirts. I've been wearing a lot of these for the last day. Like if I'm doing a report out in the swamp, Florida swamp or the woods, I'll throw on a pair of
Some
outdoors.
camo. Yeah.
So, do you like JLR? Leslie?
So,
Do you like JLR?
yeah, he's all, he does, gotta give him credit. He does his work. He's boots everywhere. Yeah. I don't see why everybody hates him so bad. I don't mind him. He does his work.
I mean,
He
I
does
thought
put
in
in
the
the
beginning
effort.
he was on the other side, but I don't know.
He gets everywhere. He's been everywhere. I didn't like him at first when he was back when he was with Blowhorn Betty or whatever that goofball's name is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, kind
yeah,
of fit the
and in the
theme
Summer
of
Wells case, but he's
where I'm
grown
at.
up.
Jeans, if I have to do a interview, a former interview with someone, or something not necessarily with shorts, with go into a restaurant and sit down and talk to somebody about a topic, so I'll just throw on a pair of jeans.
Do you always have a bag ready to go?
Oh, I'm on standby. Anything breaks that's in importance, got a bag, a toothpaste, toothbrush.
You're on the road a lot.
I'm hunting for the stories, hunting to share awareness to tragedies that are occurring. Yeah.
So where's next then?
Next is right here. I call myself an online truth-seeking sleuth. I love it. I love your First Amendment right to be a journalist. Anyone can be a citizen journalist. Anyone can get a camera, your own phone, and report, and you are considered a journalist. And I hope that is never taken away in this country. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am standing at the corner of Farm Road and Coleman Road in Moscow, Idaho. Why am I here?
JLR makes up to 8 videos a day on this tragedy.
I think I watched him more than anybody, him and Grizzly True Crime, I guess, in the beginning, because they had more of the investigative type footage that I was looking for, rather than just listening to people talk about their beliefs and their thoughts and their opinions. Because there was a lot of them that came out pretty fast. See, I used to be a watcher. I used to watch these channels. I just lurked around and watched and tried to chat. But as far as anything else, nobody knew who 12 Gage was, and I would go into a chat and nobody would say hello or nothing. So it's not like that now, but before it was. JLR has been around for a minute.
Constantly looking for something to satisfy his audience's craving for more.
Oh my gosh, this lady, hey, look.
How are you? God bless you. You have a good day, ma'am. You watch YouTube? Oh, you watch me? God bless you guys. Thank you. Thank you for the support. Do you live here? We're going to try to get to the bottom of this, because we're going to get out the truth to share what happened. Thank you, ma'am.
She just stopped, but she just went, GLR, I love you. Does it feel good when people?
Yes, that just motivated.
Yeah.
That just inspired me to
feel a
push
new
harder.
spark.
Yeah, I'm grateful, kind of. I'm flattered.
Yeah.
And it's a cool feeling. It's a cool feeling.
I think the main thing I want to get an understanding of is this hunger to get all the information possible. What's incentivizing him to want to get right in the details of so many things and not trust the investigation to do its job?
This right here is where officers found 4 bodies yesterday. We now know the names of those 4 students. 20-year-old Ethan Chapin from Conway, Washington, 21-year-old Madison Mogan from Coeur d'Alene, 21-year-old Kaylee Goncalves from Rathdrum, Idaho, and 20-year-old Dana Kernodle from Avondale, Arizona, and they were all University of Idaho students.
We've watched this memorial grow all day long. Students dropping off flowers and stuffed animals, remembering the 4 young lives that were lost. And there's still a lot of unanswered questions tonight, like how this happened and why.
As vigils appear across Moscow, People on social media all over the world post tributes to the victims online.
The last video that Kaylee uploaded has 8.7 million views. The next one, 7.5 million. 165,000 followers now on TikTok.
Do you think anyone would drink wine? I'll have some wine. I didn't even think of it, really, because, I'm not a big drinker. But
I watched these videos very soon after the murders happened. There is something nice about being able to look at their social medias and realize that they're just another human being. Social media gives you a walkthrough of someone's entire life. You can really connect with a victim as if they're your friend.
Well, early on, it seemed like social media was going crazy as much as it was going more crazy back then, if it's possible, than it is now. This stuff was coming out faster than anything. Couldn't keep up with all the stuff that was coming out. This person, that person, you see this video, you see that video. It was intense. Molly, welcome back. What were you going to say about going backwards to your thought pattern?
Well, I was just saying, if you really take it back, we were talking about the jury and the. Oh, sorry, I'm hearing a double echo.
You sound better.
Okay, well, let's try. So I was just
Yeah,
saying, if you take it even further back to the jury, you're not going to want someone like me on a jury who knows law enforcement, knows penal code and things like that. You're going to want somebody who's Joe Blow, nobody, that you may be able to confuse enough that they don't really know what they're looking at.
that's a good point. Good point. And that is true. You're not going to want somebody that's going to already have the capability to have their mind either made up one way or the other. You want them to be able to see both sides and be, open to both sides. I've been disqualified on a lot of juries for that reason.
Oh, I get disqualified because I believe in the death penalty. I get disqualified because I worked with law enforcement. I was a medic. I was this. You get disqualified for a lot of things, but if you're the
Right.
defense attorney, you're going to want to find probably the lowest IQ people you can find. I mean, that sounds cool, but
I like how you put that. I like how you put that.
People to roll their eyes, right? Keep your narrative.
Oh man,
I mean, I think I was keeping it PC,
Yeah, I
Took my
like how you
breakfast
put.
away.
Yeah.
Are you all right, Leslie?
Exposed
I'm
was
fine.
a survivor of a carjacking who got disqualified. I mean, survivor of sexual abuse, survivor of any type of abuse, in a murder case. Somebody's been held hostage. I mean, there's a lot of things that disqualify you, but when you're trying to qualify a jury, prosecution wants one type of a juror and defense wants a different kind. And there's a reason for that.
Right.
I think that social media is the entire reason why there was and still is a huge obsession around the victims.
As the U of I community grieves, we still don't know how those 4 students died. Moscow police have not told us much about what happened.
Let's go to John Webb, who's been there since this story broke. John.
Yeah, good evening, Sean. Still no word on the cause of the death of the students. The scene tonight is much quieter. One police officer is watching over the house tonight. You can see his car.
In the early days of the investigation, people looked to the mainstream media for information about the case.
So this is where our newsroom radio station are. Here's some of the publications that they put out. You can see here's one they did on the vigil that was held.
Wow.
Beautiful photo that Daniel did.
This is John Webb. John covered the case for a local TV station. He was also a student and knew 2 of the victims.
You were friends with Ethan and Xana. Can you share anything about what they were like as people?
Xana was very goofy. She was funny, always making jokes at parties and stuff. And Ethan was kind of the Labrador, you know, everybody just loved him and he was a sweetheart.
What was that moment like when you realized that some of the victims were people you knew?
You know, denial. You don't believe it when you first hear it. For a while, I couldn't even say the names on the air. It was tough. I remember being scared. We didn't have anybody yet, and I knew as the clock ticked by every day, we were further and further away from catching whoever was responsible for this, and all the pain that it caused a lot of people here. And I remember my station was like, "We'll put you up in a hotel and stuff." I'm like, "No, I got to stay with my friend," and we were scared, and I think we still are. And we look back now and we're like, why did we never lock our doors? Why did we never lock our windows? This could happen to anybody, you know.
Even through the hard moments of the case, what drove you to carry on?
For a while, we were worried that this was going to go cold. You know, that was in the back of our minds constantly.
And that was out there very early, you know, that was being pushed very hardcore. But we don't know if this is going to go cold. We don't know if this is going to become a cold case. We have nothing. The police weren't talking. I think it took them, 3 days before they did this press conference that we're about to see. I mean, it was just, I didn't realize how much of a mess it was back then. But looking back on this and watching this before, I was like, Jesus, I didn't know all this was going on behind the scenes.
Still no arrest and no suspect.
This community is small. They're on edge. There is a maniacal quadruple murderer out there.
There are University of Idaho students, their families, and the greater Moscow community, many of which are still concerned for their safety.
I was driving down to the police department physically every day to try and see if anybody would talk. Anybody. There was no communication at all for the first 3 days. Then the vacuum, the rumor mill starts happening, right? That is when the online sleuth started to begin.
Who did it? Who is responsible? What happened?
I marked up the map so you could see all the possible routes that the intruder may have taken when he left the residence.
It appears to be blood on what looks like a cabinet.
We're going to do a little walkthrough of the house here. Preface this, but this is not my footage. I got it off the internet.
After 3 days of silence, Moscow Police Department announced a press conference.
We are going to be covering the Moscow Police Department's press conference.
Moscow Police are holding a press conference in half an hour. We will post another video if we have any new information for you
The
guys.
small force that hasn't investigated a homicide in 7 years is suddenly thrust onto the world stage.
I'm going to be reading from my notes today because I want the information you receive to be extremely accurate. The facts of the case that we know right now. We know that these homicides occurred in the early morning hours of Sunday, November 13th. The four were stabbed with a knife, but no weapon has been located at this time. There was no sign.
So I ask you, at this press conference, Molly, I don't know if you've ever been to one of these. I've never been to one, so I can't really speak on it. But as he's saying, he just said, we know it was a sharp-edged weapon and they were stabbed. With everybody in their conspiracy talking about being shot, would he have said that or would he have not said that?
I mean, as far as in the press conference,
Yes.
I mean, yeah, he would have said that. I have written releases for the press and stuff like that. Really, he's just trying to stick with the facts and maybe downplay how they were there. I mean, there's 4 people, so by saying that, don't you think it just would raise the public's suspicion, or like they're like being scared for their own safety in the town? I mean, why would he have put that out other than that being the truth, right?
Right.
Because if he
Right.
says, "Oh, it was a sharp edged weapon," that makes it even worse because there's 4 people who died at one time. It's not even just like one murder; it's 4. So, yeah, I, it,
But I believe that if there would have been any signs of gunshots or anything like that, I believe he might have not went into detail, but we would have known at that point that it wasn't just the knife
yeah, I think
that
that he
did it.
probably would have said multiple means. He wouldn't have said specifically gunshot and sharp edge weapon or whatever. He would have just said by multiple means.
Right.
He wouldn't have gone into it, but he's pretty much saying right there to me, it's it's a weapon. It's a double-edged weapon. Whether it's weapons or weaponed, at that point, I don't think they knew if it was one knife or 2 or 10. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Sign of forced entry into the residence. We do not have a suspect at this time, and that individual is still out there.
Chief Wright, John Webb with Gage Q. Why has there been limited information over the past couple days? I mean, we're almost 4 days into this. Why has it been so limited?
That's a difficult, but the reality is, I probably should have been standing here a day or so ago.
I'm Matt Epperly with this Folks Interview. Hi. So there were other roommates who lived at that residence. Were the roommates home at the time of the attack?
There was other people home.
So since they were home, was it a hostage situation?
No, it was not.
Hi, Heather Roberts with ABC News. The other 2 roommates were there at the time of the attack. Is there any explanation as to why you have surviving witnesses to an incident at 3 or 4 in the morning and the 911 call didn't come until noon?
I don't think I ever said that they were witnesses.
Were they the 911 caller?
At this point in time, I'm not going to divulge who our 911 caller is.
Quick update here on this Idaho stabbing. This is getting really suspicious.
How could there possibly be 2 other roommates in the home during all of this?
How could they not know there was a brutal attack going on in the house?
If there's 4 stabbings, there is blood everywhere.
Why did it take 8 hours later to call 911?
Let me tell you why she didn't call 911, because they both full of shit.
I think it was an inside job, and I think the 2 surviving roommates had something to do with it.
Photos and private details about the roommates Dylan and Bethany rapidly circulate online.
I don't care what nobody else say. I don't trust these 2. Now, obviously, I don't have any concrete facts.
These 2 girls, I'm going to say, should be in the hot seat. I would be combing their socials.
These are public pictures that she posted on her own social media profile that is public still.
They make it sound back then and still today. They make it sound like she was sitting there just posting these pictures. Like she was out in the hallway or something posting pictures. You know what I mean? Deleting photos, posting photos. Like she knew that they were getting murdered and they didn't have a care in the world. They were just doing their own thing. Molly, you or Leslie have any thoughts on the 8-hour gap without going into lengthy detail? Do you believe that they knew that there was a murder happening there or not?
I don't think that they did. I don't know. I kind of feel like, when you were a little kid and you thought you saw the boogeyman in your room, but then you were like, oh, I'm just going to close my eyes and cover my head. I feel like they kind of did that thinking that they were just thinking the worst and didn't want to seem like they were crazy.
I would have thought that too till the text messaging.
Why did the text messaging change your mind?
I don't know how. In the first place,
make it any different?
Because why are you calling your mom and dad on right? I mean, right during that time. I guess I'd have to look at the rest of her phone thing and see if she called them like that all the time. Like I have a certain time that I call my mom, but I call her whenever I want. But maybe she was like that. I just can't see. I don't know. I just
Well,
think there's something strange there. I think they knew. I don't think they did it, but I think they knew something was happening. I think they were too scared to go up, or they just didn't think about it and left. Or maybe that, maybe she wasn't even home, and that's why she was texting him.
but do you think it's that, or do you think that they didn't know how to? They weren't prepared to
Those
recognize,
girls, they're in Idaho. They know.
or I'm saying recognize, or how to respond to something bad happening. Because if you've never had anything bad happen and you're just leaving your parents' house, right? People panic and they don't know, or they don't think that they heard what they heard. I just don't know. You know what I mean? Like, were they calling their
Depending on,
parents and thought they heard
yeah,
something? I don't
yeah,
know. It's
depending
like,
on how high and drunk she really was, you know.
also, if you don't teach your kid how to use a debit card, they don't ever know how to pay for anything, right? Before they leave home. Is this one of those things where the parents
Their
didn't prepare?
friends teach them.
You know what I'm saying though? Like, were they I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't think so. Not these girls. I don't think so.
I
I just,
believe that I believe that you know what, due to the high traffic area in that home at all times, they were the youngest in the house. They were the newest in the house. So they probably felt least authoritative to make any huge decisions. So when you're hearing stuff, they did try to contact the older ones. They tried to contact Dana. They tried to contact Maddie. They tried to contact um, Kaylee. They tried to contact Ethan. None of them answered. So if there would have been an emergency, I believe that they would have continued to either call 911 or call somebody who they trusted because they were young. They weren't 30, 40, 50, 60 years old. They're young kids. I mean, and people want to hold them to the fire like, you should have done this, you should have done that. Well, tonight, if you hear some bumps in the night, call the police every time you hear it and
Well,
wait and
no,
see what they.
I just know that like I've been a medic my children's whole life, right? And I've responded to emergencies. And it really took them this year, a kid falling out of the truck into traffic in front of us, and me responding to that for them to understand what I did. And my kids are 18. So that's why I say what I said. It's like, and they were shocked at the way that I responded and the fact that somebody had fallen out of a truck, even though they've heard me talk about that stuff a million times. So
Right.
that's why I say, like, were they really prepared for something like this? I mean, I don't know that I would be prepared to hear people getting murdered in my house if that's what I heard, or I would know that's what it is.
I'm thinking that they thought it was a fight. I'm thinking they thought it was because there's always people over there, they say, and, in and out and stuff, or guys coming in and out. I'm thinking that's what they were thinking. And
Well, I
then,
mean,
Well, doesn't it make sense
believe
if
them
that's
bugs
what they
just suck.
thought? If that's what they thought initially, and then she said, "Well, come down. My phone's about to die." She said, "Come downstairs now." She runs downstairs, charging her phone. Probably they're sitting there talking about it. I
yeah, and
mean,
you
the
just
the
sit there and
threat
talk
is over. The threat is over. There's no more
over.
sounds being heard. Why are you going to assume that somebody has been murdered if
Well, and
there's
Well,
they were
no
drunk.
more sounds?
Their faculties weren't about them anyway. We're not talking about two 21-year-olds or whatever who were sound mind sober either.
now I've asked my girlfriend's daughters, who's in the University of Utah, and all her friends, would you guys have went upstairs? Would you guys have went upstairs? I drove them nuts. And each one of them said they would have waited till the sound was, and then they would have went up. Or some said they would have went up during the sounds and seen what was going on, and some said they would go up after the sounds, but not one of them said they would not go up. Not one wouldn't have went and checked.
There's
Um,
different personalities and
yeah,
different people, though, Leslie. I mean, for
but
people,
these are
there's
all
people
random.
that
These are all different girls. They're from the University of Utah. They've
will
heard a
understand
whole.
that, but people are going to respond to situation differently.
I
You
mean,
can't say that just because I
True,
respond to running into a burning building to rescue some kids, that you would do that. The guy next to me would do the same thing. He might just sit there
true.
in shock and just panic.
Perfect
That's
example
very true.
is I went to medic school and somebody else went to medic school, and their first call on the truck, they didn't respond in the way that we needed them to. They panicked and ran out of the back of the truck, even though they'd gone through all their training and they'd had the training, the same training I had. So, that's the thing, is that you can't ever tell how somebody's going to respond.
Molly, that's so true, because I got my nursing and I couldn't do it after that. You had to do the old, the old folks place where they stay, where you have to do your, I forget what they call it, your classes or whatever to graduate. You have to put so much time in. I couldn't do it after I went there. I couldn't finish it.
No,
I decided not to do it. I couldn't watch people die like that all alone. I couldn't do it.
And
No.
after you have your first bad call, you don't know how you're going to respond to that. It's just
Right.
nature of the
That's
beast.
true. But being murdered,
as
I
far as all those things about them not being there and somebody ran out, and why was she looking at LinkedIn or Indeed, and why was she doing this and why was she doing that? Look, you're taking it out of context. You're viewing this from a third party perspective. You weren't in that house. You weren't there at 4:15, 3:30. I mean, none of us were. All we have is a transcript and a sound audio of the next day. I mean, time goes really quickly when you're in an emergency state of mind, and you do freeze up. They could have been talking the whole time, all night long, about what could that have been that you saw. Well, I don't know. They're trying to brainstorm. Maybe they're not the brightest people on the planet. And I'm not saying that to be mean in any sense of the word, but you know what? Some young kids don't have the capacity to think as quickly as we do. Oh, there's some adults that don't think as quickly as an adult should. You
Well,
have to.
then I thought about too, in a school, they teach you to hide, to run and hide and find a hiding place and don't come out until it's safe or until somebody comes and gets you. So that's what you're taught at school. If there's a shooter or something.
I mean, you really just kind of feel for them because their whole lives were turned upside down in a matter of 12 hours, and people were looking at them like, why didn't you do something? Why didn't you call? Almost victim blaming, because they were victimized by this situation. And it's just crazy. I mean, like, you don't know. And even the people saying that, you don't know how you would have reacted to hearing what they heard, right? Or seeing what they saw. You don't know, but you're sitting there pointing fingers at these two like, really? I mean, I don't know. I don't know that I would have thought that had I heard what I heard what they heard, and I'm a grown adult and I live in the country.
But the smell would go through the house though. After all those hours.
The smell of what though?
The smell of blood, and people, how they defecate stuff when they pass away.
Not necessarily that soon after. Not necessarily. If it was cold, if it was.
I heard that's why they left the door open, is because it was cold.
The only thing that you're going to smell is the iron, and if you don't know the taste of iron, that's the only thing you're going to have is the taste of iron, really. And if you would probably have to be within, several, just 5 or 10 feet of that room or the rooms where the blood was, the large amounts of blood, to be able to say, what is that, or you'd have to be trained to know that's blood, that penny taste, that's not just something that people know. And as far as defecation and stuff, a lot of those smells don't start for a very long time. And the heat is usually when you smell them, the bloating, the whatever. That's
true.
I don't know.
You're right. I don't know either.
Share. Check it out. They were texting one another during the murders.
During a murder. The two surviving roommates, Ian and Bethany, are forced into hiding.
Content creators, YouTube's web sleuths, we do specialize in pressure campaigns.
This is Bullhorn Betty,
applying pressure, applying social media pressure, going after them, putting them on thumbnails, talking about their case, pointing the finger at them. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Coffee Club. It's Bullhorn Betty. We're going to be...
Bullhorn Betty has a YouTube channel and has made hundreds of hours of content on the Idaho murders.
We heard that they came home around 1 a.m. before the other 4 came home. Do you think they went straight to bed? I call people out on my channel. I know other people call people out on their channel, but should they not be? I think they should be. And I will get attention to the case, and I know I can. And I've proven that over and over again. And really, sometimes these cases just need a lot of eyes on them.
So everybody stop scrolling and pay attention to this poster. There's a missing person named Gabby Petito.
Web sleuthing gained traction 2 years ago when the online community helped locate the body of a 22-year-old travel blogger, Gabby Petito.
When she vanished, people took the case into their own hands and became digital detectives, scouring social media for clues.
Had it not been for web sleuths and social media creators, Gabby Petito, in all fairness, would probably still be out there lost. That's really when the world kind of realized that web sleuths can be beneficial and can help. If a new case is breaking, I got myself a checklist of immediate things that I must do. First thing is identifying the victim, identifying the suspect. We'd be doing background checks on them, going through every single one of their social media. Who is commenting in their Twitter handles, their Instagram messages, their Facebook messages? I don't think law enforcement is prepared for the type of change that's coming with social.
You know, I don't agree with that because that's downplaying law enforcement. That's downplaying people that actually go to school to learn how to investigate a crime. If you didn't have to go to school to do any of this stuff and you could just sit behind a computer and watch somebody's comments and all this other stuff, why would we need law enforcement? Why would we need investigators, paramedics, firefighters, any of that stuff, therapists, any of them? You know, I don't agree with what you just said because that's how they look at their investigative tactics is I'm looking up people's backgrounds and I'm digging into their family and I'm digging into this. That's not an investigation. You're not going to find, nobody found Brian Koberger and everybody was looking for him. How come nobody found him but the police?
But the thing is that you have the best of the best. If you have the FBI looking, if you have the police force looking, like, they're trained to do those jobs. They're given the resources, the federal databases, all the things available that you don't have. How is it you're going to find the little needle in the haystack? I don't get it. Like, I know every once in a while, probably once every 40 years, some random person helps solve a murder, but yeah.
Well, she said if it wasn't for the online community, Gabby Petito might still be out there lost.
Yeah, that's just random. I mean, really random. I mean, I understand why she says that, but
I get it too, but you know, it minimizes people that actually gone through the process, and these individuals discount education as being nothing but.
That's like I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. Now I'm a doctor. You know, it doesn't work that way.
I mean, well, I could call myself a PhD just because I'm a therapist, right? Because it is almost the same thing. All I do is talk to people, and people don't need a degree for that. Hell, you could put a Band-Aid on somebody, Molly. Why did you go to school to be an EMT?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Social media, but change is coming.
It was reporter John Webb who unwittingly gave the sleuths their first clue by releasing video of the victims on the night of the murder.
It was a couple days after the murder, we had found video of Kaylee and Madison actually at a popular food truck in downtown Moscow. A lot of people went there after the bars and stuff to get a bite to eat before heading home. So we posted this video of Grub Truck and their last few hours of being alive. I did not realize how far and how fast that video would spread online. Next morning.
Another thing, and I said this from the very beginning, and I keep stopping this not because I want to talk and hear myself talk. If I don't, they're going to copyright me. They're going to copyright me. So don't think that I'm just stopping it to hear myself talk. But one thing that I always said in the beginning when I started my channel is they're not going to say anything about the Grub Truck. They're not going to say anything about Taylor Avenue, the Banfield, any of that stuff. So nobody's saying anything about that now. Where's all this information about the crime evidence being at these locations where people went on and on and on and on, and they're
They
still
are trying.
talking about it. Huh?
They are trying to bring the Linda Lane video in.
Well, I mean, none of these places have been in any of these documents other than the car being around Linda Lane those times that it circled. That was the only time they mentioned Linda Lane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Molly, we have a comment for you. It says, Molly, when you show up on a scene and it's bloody, if one of the bystanders told you that person had Hep C, would you appreciate that extra info, or do you really not need it?
When you say scene, do you mean like a crime scene, or do you mean like I'm working on somebody trying to save their life? Because I really don't need that information other than after the fact if they live to pass on to the hospital. If it's somebody that's dead or alive, I'm taking the same precautions either way to protect myself and others, just like AIDS or anything else. The only thing that it would maybe pertain to would be if their illness or their injury, Hep C, liver, something that I was trying to treat. I needed to treat something to coincide with their treatment in the back of the truck before I got them to the ambulance, I can't think of anything right now that would coincide with that. But, if they were yellow or had, liver failure or something like that, and there was something I could help do, then yeah, that would be pertinent to me. But like, as far as anything else, it wouldn't be. It'd be more helpful probably to have a blood type than it would to be, Hep C.
When I woke up, it was everywhere.
Haley and Madison noticed the food truck Twitch stream shows two of the victims buying tacos around 1:53 a.m., just hours before the slayings.
This food truck video could be so important to figuring out what could have happened to them.
The Grub Truck is a late-night food vendor popular with students. It live streams every service across multiple cameras. A student in the back of the video is a new focus for the true crime community. He becomes known as Hoodie Guy, or Grub Truck Guy. This is Joe. Joe runs the Grub Truck and was working on the night of the murders.
I can't imagine that feeling of being one of the last people to interact with the victims.
It was honestly just really depressing to see some young kids having a really good time knowing that they were dead.
So after this, did a lot of people start trying to film and record outside the Grub Truck?
Yes, yeah, a lot of people. People walking around with their phones. There's one guy that was unbelievably annoying, and I would say just was like just a full asshole about it.
Was he recording on his phone?
Yeah.
And doing this?
Yep.
I know who that is.
Here it is, the Grub Truck. Cold out here, nobody's out here in downtown Moscow. This is the same Grub Truck that Maddie and Kaylee was in, right? They came here, Maddie and Kaylee? Oh, we don't just Oh, you guys can, or you just don't want to? So let me ask a question.
I'm a journalist. I'm covering this case. There's people saying, "Oh, the Grub Truck guy did it. He did it. He's involved because he." What do you say to that?
I don't respond to people. I'm not talking about that.
Like Or it's just a food truck? Just a food truck. Okay.
Just a food truck. All right, so this is what they sell.
You didn't ask like any intelligent questions or like anything could have been useful. None of that speaks to me as a person trying to help solve a murder.
Is the grub truck people involved? I would say not, but there is people online that says talk to Joey. Joey, the grub truck guy, whoever Joey is, he knows something or he's done something. You know, I flat out asked.
I think a lot of people on the internet sleuth side of it were just trying to get content, dramatizing a tragedy.
The pursuit of Hoodie Guy.
I mean, how did they not see that that statement in itself is defamatory? He done something or he knows something. How are people able to talk like that about people who they know nothing about? I get that you can question anything. I get that. We have the right. But when it comes down to you making blanket statements like that, that is treading the water on some legal issues right there. Do you think yes or no, panel guest? What do y'all think?
I think
You think
so. I think you're right. Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah. Yep. Because
I mean, just like another creator, she has implicated everybody in Moscow and Pullman
that's what I
in
said. It
this
says
crime.
I said it was like the Ozark series.
And everybody in the county jail within the vicinity of 10 miles is involved.
Right. And the families too.
Yeah. I mean, all these people knew about it, but none of them came and said anything after the murder. You think that this crime had the capacity to hold that much secrecy for this long?
No. Do you know what I think? I surely have believed this for a couple days now. I think this is just as simple as a Ted Bundy murder is. He just went in there, did his stuff, and just left. I think it's that simple.
I've always said that too, Leslie. I have, you know. Why did
Yeah,
they
I
have to
think
be
it's
so
that simple.
dramatized? Yeah, why did they have to be so dramatized that he flew in and, knocked out the dog and, blah, 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 did this, did that. No, he went
And I think
in, did what he did, and left.
and left. Yeah, that's what I think. Yep. I don't think
Is
there is anybody.
relentless, and his
Oh
private
no.
information, including his parents' address, is spread online. His sister takes to social media to put out a passionate plea.
Are you going to take this video down? It has nothing to do with my family. This video has pictures of our houses. It shows where we work, and it has our faces plastered. We have received threats and harassment. And we didn't deserve that. And I hope in the future we can take away from this that this is not a game of Clue.
And see him. I think he's making a video.
I've seen so many online sleuths like JLR prodding and provoking for information.
I don't want to get in the way of his video.
The murders happened at the Moscow, Idaho home, 1122 King Road home. And that's
Does JLR really think his tactics are going to help solve the crime?
the goal is to let criminals and bad actors be put on notice that you can't get away with it nowadays. Because you're going to have YouTubers and social media. I throw names around that could be possibly involved or asked. Boyfriends of the victims, fraternity members. So
It's all fun and games till one of these YouTubers becomes another victim, right? So they didn't have a killer at this point. They didn't know who it was. And they're running around looking for the killer. Did they not ever once think that the killer could be taking them out at any point? What do y'all think on that?
Molly.
Oh no! I mean, you don't have. Well, and that's the thing is like, let's say it's not BK, it's not Brian Koberger, it's not him, and the murder's still out there. Yeah, like what? You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like, are you on there saying disparaging things towards the actual murder, and they come out and find you? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, they hadn't found him at this point, and he's like, he just stated, "We're turning up the heat on you. We're putting the attention on you." Well, if I was the killer, and this dude is like bringing the heat, I'm gonna make him my next victim. I'm gonna make him famous. You get what I'm saying?
no, yeah,
True. Yeah. Yep.
Sorority girls,
Yep.
neighbors, community members, registered sex offenders, because maybe you can gaslight these people to come out and share where they were really at so we can cross them off the list.
Sometimes, though, this is, these are people that law enforcement have ruled out. So why is the focus still on them?
Well, law enforcement might say they ruled somebody out, but they don't give any details. If you're accused of something, you need to come out and just inform the public, hey, I'm not involved. This is where I was, to prove it. We're not going to stop until we find out. If they don't want to give us the information, we'll find out ourselves.
Do you think that people staying silent makes them seem suspicious?
I do. Especially if they stay silent and start locking down their social media accounts. And I think it's important for them to come out and talk. When they don't, it gets very, very bad in cyberspace with everyone digging in their background, their family's background, their friends.
Can you see it from a side of they may just want privacy at this time?
They could, but maybe a family member of them or a spokesperson for them could come forward and say that, might alleviate that suspicion more.
With the first week gone,
And that is a good point, JLR. I'm going to give you a kudos there for a second because I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Based on his point right there, why didn't Brian come out and say, I know you are looking for a white Elantra. I drive one. I'm a TA over here at the WSU. Here's my DNA. I just want to clear my name based on what JLR said. Why didn't he do that? Can anybody answer that in the chat? I mean, based on his theory, that would have cleared up a lot of things, right?
I
Why
think
didn't
that
he
he
do
thought
that?
he was never going to get caught. I think he thought he was never going to be in the spotlight. I think he thought he was in the clear.
Yeah.
But now they're going
But
to blame it
according,
innocent because he had autism now.
I mean, according to JLR's theory, he should have came up and been ready to give a blood sample, a DNA swab, and even shown them his vehicle and his cell phone downloads and everything, just to prove you're innocent. That just goes a little too far. But I mean, you have to ask yourself, how come Brian didn't do that? How come?
I
Now,
don't know
Molly,
how come.
you drive a white Elantra. You drive a white Elantra, and
My mom drives a black one.
and you know that they're looking for this vehicle, and you live in the area. Are you going to go down to law enforcement and say, "Here, I know you're looking for a white Elantra. I just want to let you know you can cross mine off the list"?
Well, I'm going to tell you no for a number of reasons because I don't need all that drama. But
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? I'm not a criminal, but no. If they want to look at me for something, let them look at me and then find no other reason because I hadn't done it, right? Like, it's not my job to turn myself in if I committed a crime. And if I didn't commit a crime, come find me and I'll let you look at my car. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy enough for them to run license plates in a state or a vehicle, be like white Elantra in the state databases and see how many are there and what the license plate numbers are. This is not a hard thing for them to figure out as law enforcement. then they just need to go house by house, person by person, and eliminate each one, right?
Right.
And so, no, it's not my job to go, hey, I drive that. I'm sorry, no.
You
It's
know
like
what?
if I won
Hey,
the lottery, I wouldn't tell anybody, but there would be signs. I mean,
hey, it would be like I'd go down there and do that, and then I'd have like an old traffic ticket or something that's busted into a warrant, and be like, "Oh, you're cleared, but you can't leave. We're gonna we're gonna hold
right?
you. You got a warrant for your arrest."
That would be my
What?
luck. Like, I don't want to go deal with those people. Like, I mean, I used to work with them, but you know what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm not going to go do that. And I'm
Yeah.
not, it's like people who don't get their DNA done, like for the ancestry DNA and stuff like that, because what if somebody in their family, like my dad says this, what if one of my children committed a crime and I don't know about it and my DNA is what prosecutes them, like brings it to light? And I'm like, Dad, like, really? Like, are we really like, that's what you think? Like, all your children with their degrees and their good jobs, yes, we're just out committing murders, you know? It's kind of the same. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
And no suspects on the horizon. The grieving sister of one of the murdered students takes to national news to release information.
Olivia Gonzalez isn't waiting for police, raising questions about why her sister called a young man named Jack multiple times the night she was slain.
Kaylee calls Jack 6 times between 2:26 a.m. to 2:44 a.m.
Kaylee called him 7 times from her phone. Maddie called him 3 times from her phone. So a total of 10 calls to Jack.
So who is this Jack guy and why were they calling him so much?
Kaylee Gonzalez has photos with a young man named Jack posted to her Instagram.
Jack is Kaylee's ex-boyfriend. They were together for 6 years.
We did do some preliminary work on him. So we do have access to his Twitter account and some of the postings that he's made there.
Moscow Police Department are forced to start combating the rumors and online speculation in their press conference.
We do not believe the following individuals are involved in this crime. The 2 surviving roommates, a male seen at the grub truck food vendor downtown, specifically wearing a white hoodie. We're also aware of a male whom Madison and Kaylee had called several times the morning of November 13th, and we do not suspect that individual.
Thank you, Captain. We know that people want answers, and a lot of people have expressed their desire to help, and the best thing that most of people can do to help is to stop with any kind of rumors and just seek official information that comes out of the Moscow Police Department.
Kaylee's ex-boyfriend was immediately cleared by the police, along with Hoodie Guy and Dylan and Bethany, the roommates. They all refused to speak to the media or engage with the sleuths.
The video is converted. I will go right here to upload. Wording and your thumbnail is very, very important.
JLR has made another video for his channel about the CCTV cameras near the student's house.
And I'll just do a hashtag.
How do the hashtags help?
I think it helps. I think people do search hashtags. In this case, I put in Dylan Mortensen, Bethany Funk, Idaho 4, Moscow, Idaho. Keywords all centered around this tragedy. Because
Why Dylan Mortensen? Because she's not in this video.
But they're just part of the case and people want to know about them. And I just feel like, it draws people to my channel also.
Do you still think they may have something to do with the case?
I don't think that. And that's not what I lean towards. But I do talk about them. I talk about all the roles and I also talk about what other people are talking about them to engage.
But those 2 roommates have shut their social medias down. Do you think that might not be a bit of a sign that they don't want themselves to be public?
I don't know the reasons why of shutting down. Maybe law enforcement told them to shut it down. Maybe law enforcement said, protect yourself from weirdos out there and all kinds of people that might stalk you or something like that and be obsessed with you. We don't know if Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk like all this attention or not. We don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they.
Do you think they might like it?
I don't know. Like
JLR, why the hell would they like it, bro?
Ask him if he likes it.
Yes, he likes it. Why would they like the attention? God. I cannot. I cannot. They might like it. I don't know. I got to question everything.
They
See, now that's
were
wrong because if he
sharing
doesn't
all
even
types of stuff on them, their activities on social media.
Go ahead.
if he doesn't even think that they had anything to do with it, why is he even putting their stuff out there? Then you shouldn't talk about him at all.
Yeah.
If he doesn't think, isn't that what he
That's a
said?
good
I don't think that they.
Yeah.
So then why even speak on him?
Because he's doing what the defense does. He puts a little bit out there so that he can build on that on the next video, on the next video, on the next video, just to keep people coming back. The presumption.
Yeah, but at least he admits it, though.
Well,
There's
the defense isn't
yeah.
going to admit what they're doing.
No.
Mountain Mama, I love this comment. I had to stop watching JLR when I was ready to go through the screen one day. I think a lot of us have been ready to go through that screen.
Yeah, so they chose to be public figures. They put their own stuff out there, and once it goes on the internet, it stays on the internet forever.
They chose
This
to
is the new
be
way of life. The internet is our life. This is the new norm. It literally is the new norm. I don't see any way we're getting past this. I don't know if any laws can prevent people from talking about somebody that already put their stuff out there. I just see it as the future.
And are you
They
happy
chose to be
contributing to
witnesses
it?
in a quadruple
I'm happy
murder
with trying to get the
JLR.
truth and understanding of what happened.
You want to see my cat? You want to pet my cat? This person right here.
This is my daughter, Nicole. It's my baby. Best part of my life, obviously, being a mom. I don't want to cry, but so she died in 2011. Her death was ruled as a suicide, and I believe it was a murder. Sometimes when I see girls, little blonde girls that remind me of my daughter, then I just feel like, oh, no, no, no. I don't want to let somebody get away with that. I hate people who commit murder. I hate them. They've ruined my life. And so
Okay, for everybody in the chat, I want you to pay attention to this lady because she is the one that brought Cole, whatever the hell his last name is, Cole B, into the mix. Listen to what this guy says when he is interviewed because this is going to be what's all about what people are talking about right now, that this individual DNA was found inside the house. He was one of the third DNAs found inside the house. So I want y'all to take a real good listen to this, okay? I know you are enjoying the chat, but there's a lot of people talking about this, and I want you to hear what this guy has to say, okay? You want to pet my cat?
I want them to go to jail.
This is Donna Serafina.
Thank you for joining me today. My name is Reverend Donna Serafina. I am a spiritualist reverend and a psychic medium.
The desperation for any new clue to the murders leads the online community to listen to a different kind of sleuth.
The physical description of the Moscow killer was revealed to me and downloaded information from the universal consciousness.
I am a true crime medium and I did psychic investigation.
I was reading the murder weapon. Sometimes the cards show meanings and the images.
Donna alleged the killer was the son of a baker. All the bakeries in downtown Moscow were targeted.
Okay, let me see what they're going to show me. I keep getting this French bread baguette. I kind of have a feeling it's more like a family business.
This is Smitty. Smitty runs the bagel shop in downtown Moscow.
So this is where the son theory comes in.
For some reason, they know that their son has some thought patterns that are of violent nature like that. Like, he's sticky with the blood, but for him it feels good. Like, he would like to jack off with his bloody hands.
You can't make this up.
I think
You can't make this
I
up.
listened to this exact bit and I thought, not for me.
All right.
Can I see some of the harassment that you face in the comments?
Yep. I have some insights on my computer here of Facebook and Instagram. Yeah, here's one. Your son is the killer. Go to the FBI immediately. Then it says he got that cut during the killings, not at work. And then it mentions my name and says it's my son. Yeah.
You don't have a son?
Nope. Don't have a son. Yeah, so once everything started getting crazy, I took a couple snapshots of my Facebook analytics. This was pre-psychic reading that caused all this. And the 30-day snapshot shows 243 Facebook page visits. Not very impressive, but I'm not a huge social media person. But this next screenshot is post-murders, more specifically,
oh my gosh,
post-psychic, 231,000 plus Facebook page visits. And then the Instagram is almost 20,000.
That's not even a true reflection of how many people saw the rumor on TikTok or YouTube.
No.
This fraction of people are the people that actually have decided to conduct almost their own investigation.
Right.
So in case you
Even though
missed
part of
that,
me knew-
that individual had hatred and death threats and all kinds of stuff because everybody was saying that his son was the killer. Did you hear that man say he doesn't have a son? People are still talking
I
about
heard
that
it.
right now. People are still talking about that right now because that's whose DNA was on that. The third DNA, wherever the hell that was found. On the railing, I guess. I don't know.
Was that guys?
No, his son, supposedly.
Oh, was his son's blood on the railing?
The DNA was found on the railing or on the gloves. So one of those three other DNA spots, supposedly his son's DNA was found on those spots. The man doesn't even have a damn son.
Are you sure?
Jeez.
He's never had unprotected sex ever in his whole entire life?
Well, that's what he said, Molly. I'm just
saying.
taking the man at his word.
I'm just saying, let's all do some ancestry DNA and let's figure it out. Because I'm going to say
We have a Molly LR.
unprotected sex ever in college.
That's why, hey, that's why we've been friends for so long. See,
It's a possibility. I can't rule it out, and neither can the jury.
That's bullshit, Molly. You take that back.
I will not.
Okay, Molly just popped my balloon right there. But based on what the man knows, what the man knows, he does not have a son.
I'm just saying, I have 6 kids. I know how it works. Okay, I gave birth to 6 children. I know how it works.
Alrighty.
She knows what she's doing.
This even exists as content. I still watched it. I still consumed it, and I still felt engaged with it. You know, for me, it became a vicious cycle of a constant need for new information, regardless of whether it was necessarily substantiated or true. Normally, someone like this wouldn't have an influence and wouldn't have a platform to be able to make outlandish statements. And I think that's the danger, but also that's why, you know, so many of these online sleuths operate on TikTok, because they know their content, if it gets enough likes and it gets enough views and it gets caught up in the algorithm, it has the potential to go viral more than on any other social media platform. The misinformation becomes so loud that the police add a rumor control section to their website.
Quelling rumors about specific individuals or specific events that may or may not have happened is a huge distraction for investigators.
Straight ahead tonight at 6, shutting down the rumor mill. Our John Webb set down.
At his local news station, John Webb starts to fact-check theories appearing on social media.
Kids were bound and gagged. That is incorrect.
roommates saw someone with a mask?
I don't have that knowledge.
To fact check people online during a murder investigation. Unheard of. We've never seen anything like that before.
Major update in the U of I killings. If you're following this case, you're gonna want to stick around for this video.
This is Destiny. Destiny is a TikToker with 11,000 followers. She built her following off filming her own reactions to the unfolding events.
They were beautiful people inside and out. And they didn't deserve this. And yeah, so I just want to take a moment and just grieve for them.
She started attending police press conferences to live stream them for her audience.
So we would like to open it up to any questions.
Destiny Martin with the LCSC Pathfinder. Can you lend any insights into the possibility that the murder weapon is linked to the ROTC program? And also, have you guys ruled out the possibility that the killer might be a female?
So we look at every avenue. We're looking at every group of people. Like I said.
Immediately after the press conference, the newspaper Destiny claims to be affiliated with releases a statement saying they've never heard of Destiny Martin. This leads to another frenzy of intense sleuthing activity.
Hey, TikTok, need your help again. We need to identify this woman right here. They just did a press conference, and this woman showed up to the press conference saying that she worked for the newspaper. She doesn't. She doesn't work for any publication at all.
How weird is that? How did she even get in there? Why did she lie about what press outlet she was with?
Should she be on the suspect list? Because that's really kind of creepy.
Hi, Destiny. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to meet you.
I got a lot of backlash. A lot of people were very upset. People then started to attack my character and my presence at those press conferences. Honestly, looking back, it was probably more because I was hearing everyone else say their name and then their newspaper or news. So I just said it that way. And it didn't occur to me that it would be taken wrong. I received multiple death threats, and when I would go live, I would have people say that they were outside my door. They were saying, "I'm going to kill you."
That must have been really scary.
I'm sorry. Man, we have some people in the chat tonight that are on fire. Put some fire on them. Jeff H. Maybe she's Papa Rogers. I think she is BK's girlfriend. On fire. You know, I was just sitting here thinking, most of the people that fight you online about his innocence resemble this woman. And I'm going to be careful with what I say with my words because I don't want. Because I don't.
I just don't know if I can associate with you anymore. Like, you are committing. You are suicide over there. I don't know.
Dang.
My low IQ thing was bad.
Molly, change our names.
Oh my gosh. I
don't even know you.
Not me.
I mean, because I've gotten some horrible messages, and I look at their photos, or I see them in chat, or I hear them talking, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no.
Now I see why you defend him so much.
She's like somebody who would get bullied in real life. Like, I'm not a bully, but like, if you're going to come at me and talk some trash and you look like that, we're going to have some words, and you're probably going to say I'm a bully after we're done. You know what I'm saying? I just can't. Like, yes, you know it all. Lord, we all have worked with somebody like that. Come on now.
Yes, we
I
have.
thought she was talking about her Nissan Pathfinder when she said newspaper.
It was
I
extremely
thought she knew that
scary.
because they
Did this stop
wanted to know who she was, so she saw about her car.
No, I was certainly more careful about how I was posting things and doing my lives, but the fact that I have a martial arts background would
She did not just say that.
I would be
Okay, I'm just gonna be quiet.
Once again, you're seeing why we have been friends for so long.
A martial arts background.
She has a martial
Weeks
arts.
pass with no apparent suspects or leads.
It's now been 3 weeks since authorities have held a press conference allowing us to ask questions. Families continue to be frustrated by the lack of information. And as
I thought it was that lady that supposedly kicked the cat, whoever everybody was going over. That lady that supposedly kicked her cat and she was getting mad. I thought that's who that was.
Bullets and bling. She showed her martial arts certificate on the wall with one corner torn off in her grandma's house where she still lives. She
Yes.
did. You can't make this up. It writes itself. Okay. It writes itself. I don't even have to be a bully. You just put it out there for everybody.
What was that lady's name
jeez.
that kicked the cat? I thought that was her. BJ, the cat kicker. Okay. That's who I thought that was. All right,
She probably
different.
has a bunch of cats. She probably has a bunch of cats. But she probably does not kick them.
As Crime 2's Kyle Simchuk reports tonight, one of them has now hired an attorney.
We have so little information from law enforcement.
The Gonzalez family start publicly criticizing the investigation.
I just feel like there's been a couple individuals that were cleared very fast.
Many are worried that the killer may never be found.
Breaking news, big news, press conference today, 1 p.m. Moscow police are holding a press conference for the first time since before Thanksgiving. This is big. I'm gassed up. I literally panicked. I just woke up. I had to tell you guys, 1 p.m.
Thank you for coming today. In conjunction with the Pennsylvania State Police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, detectives arrested 28-year-old Brian Christopher Kohlberger in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania.
Right now, we got some activity going on. They're starting to move the cars out in front of this house.
We were all set up at 1122 King Road, and then all of a sudden, you literally heard ding, 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 zzz, 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 all over the place. And next thing we know, we start hearing about Brian Kohlberger, and we're like, Brian who?
I see we have confirmed that Brian Kohlberger is a PhD student.
Ladies and gentlemen, the eyebrows have landed. Ladies and gentlemen, the eyebrows have landed.
Covering criminal justice at Washington State University.
I don't think that he was on anybody's radar. Apparently, he studied criminology in graduate school.
Here's the guy. This is the, they're saying committed this heinous crime. Creepy, creepy dude. Creepy, creepy dude.
DNA test taken from suspect Brian Kohlberger's cheek swab matched DNA left on that infamous knife sheath that Kohlberger allegedly left behind.
Not a single sleuth had accused Brian Kohlberger in the previous 6 weeks. It was forensics that ultimately led the police to him.
The suspect, Brian Kohlberger, is expected to enter a plea for 4 counts of first-degree murder.
So I'm gonna clear the air right here. I'm gonna clear the air. Chat, look at this picture right here. Don't be giving me all the BS about blah, 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 this and that and the other. Are them bad boys not bushy? And they just arrested this man.
Okay,
Let's
but
not go with the other picture. Let's go with this picture.
his
Are them bad
eyebrows
boys
are like
bushy?
no, but his eyebrows are like sunken into his eye sockets. If all you saw was just his eyes and a mask, are you even seeing his eyebrows? Because all I'm seeing is like two black holes. I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
Them
yes,
bad boys are bushy. I don't care what anybody says. Anybody else in the chat? Are those bushy? They want to argue that other photos Photoshop. This is the day of his arrest. Look at them bad boys.
They're bushy. His eyes are black too.
Yeah. I don't know how anybody could look at them things and say, I don't know, the brow line's kind of out there, but those eyebrows really, they're kind of manicured. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. I don't see it at all. Okay, just wanted to ask you that.
Murder.
Oh my God, the anxiety. Okay, so an arrest has finally been made in the Idaho 4 case.
And hopefully all of the victims can have a little bit of justice now.
Now that it's less of a crime story, a lot of people are ready to just kind of be able to grieve in private.
Immediately you feel calm because
it was a sense of relief. Okay. Not only are we going to get closer to closure and an answer, but hopefully some peace. Maybe this means we don't have to be so afraid.
No, it did not end there. No, it didn't stop. It got worse.
Check this out. Brian Kohlberger, everyone wants to know a motive. How is he connected to the victims?
Someone from Pennsylvania, 2,500 miles away, was arrested for this crime. Immediately, that just sent me into extra overdrive.
I have the Steptoe Village apartments where Brian Kohlberger lived. And you can
The
see
sleuths immediately started to explore additional avenues of investigation to update their audiences.
You're telling me one person went in unalived with a knife, 4 humans got back out in 8 minutes.
The first thing he asked law enforcement was anybody else arrested in this case.
The sleuths' investigation leads them to another incident that occurred 4 weeks after the murders. It's completely unrelated. An Army veteran with PTSD called Brent Kopacka had been shot dead in a standoff with police. The sleuths tried to connect the dots.
Brent Kopacka and Brian Kohlberger, both with the exact same initials.
Do you think Brent is somehow involved?
The two men had never even met.
Was he a puppet and Brian Kohlberger was the puppet master?
Wow.
not the Army Career Center.
Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am standing out front of the Army Recruiting Center. Why am I here? There is still a lot of speculation out there whether Brent Kopacka is involved with the Moscow, Idaho case. People want to know, did Brent Kopacka do these Moscow, Idaho stabbings? Now, people want to know, did he do this or not? Was he involved in any way? Did he work with anyone? I spoke to Brent Kopacka's best friend, and I want to share with everyone our correspondence with one another, and then we will further discuss. Check it out. Okay, so this is the conversation I had with Darren Duncan, who is the best friend of Brent Kopacka. You can see him they're putting their arms around each other. Hey, dude, I'm covering the Moscow, Idaho case. I got a big platform here. Help me put these Brent Kopacka rumors to rest. Darren responds to me. So you're the guy who keeps making videos about my friend and took my picture of us, replaced me with Koberger. He said, people think he's involved because of idiots like you. Go F yourself. You're helping fuel the fire of the conspiracy theory. I'm trying to think of the angle that I will probably put this video out. I think I'm going to put exclusive interview with best friend of Brent Kopacka.
That was not no damn interview, JLR. You know better.
The way he says that guy's name, like that's
I met
the only
Brent
thing he says in
Kopacka when we were about 13 years old in junior high. It was about 22 years ago. About a couple weeks after he died, I Googled Brent's name, and that's when I started seeing things online that people were implicating him in that quadruple homicide that happened last November in Idaho.
This is Darren Duncan. Days after Koberger was arrested, a rumour circulated that Darren's best friend Brent was his accomplice.
So this is a video by JLR Investigates, and it says exclusive interview, Brent Kopacka, best friend.
He's trying to say that it was an exclusive interview. It wasn't an interview. It was just him messaging me on Facebook and me replying to him.
What was your motivation behind engaging with these videos and these comments that were made about you?
I wanted to put a stop to it. I wanted people to stop talking about Brent. I don't care what they say about me because I can defend myself, but Brent can't. It breaks my heart and it makes me mad that the stuff's going to be up there forever because he shouldn't be remembered that way. He should be remembered as a Purple Heart soldier who fought for us, and it completely tarnished his legacy. And I thought if I make myself this open book that it would put an end to it, but it didn't. All it did now was put me in the spotlight and make it worse, kind of. So I started defending Brent, and I would comment, I'm like, you guys don't know him. You're talking about him in a way that it's just not true. He didn't know Koberger. He didn't kill those people. Oh, you're the best friend? They started creeping into my life and going on my Facebook, and it just ran wild. And there was no way to like tame that fire at all. And people are showing pictures of my kids online and saying that that people should take away my kids and that I don't deserve to be a father. I'm not a murderer. I'm a family man.
JLR didn't stop making videos about Brent after Darren spoke out, which makes me question his motivation.
It's a lovely view up here.
It shows how peaceful that town is, on top of the world here.
I want to understand what motivates you to do the work that you do.
I think part of my life is I consider myself a redemption story. When I was in my early 20s, I got arrested by the federal government for fraud, wire fraud, and hacking into banks. And, I stole people's money. I lost 10 years of my life incarcerated. I got a long sentence to that, and I wasn't happy with my sentence. And when you do mistakes, you're all over the news. Your image is out there. Your mugshot's out there. There's articles out there. There's articles out there about me. And that's a chapter I want to put behind me.
Your strategy is forcing people to come forward with information to exonerate themselves. Do you understand? It feels like people are presumed guilty before innocent.
There's no such thing as innocent till proven guilty. So in my own situation, I was guilty before innocent. I felt betrayed. I felt confused. I thought the presumption of innocence occurs in this country. It doesn't. It doesn't. You're guilty. You're guilty until you prove otherwise.
This is a follow-up video so you all can calm the heck down. Stop coming after me and let my community grieve. And for the love of God, stop telling me it's not my community.
After being outed as a fake journalist, Destiny claimed that she knew two of the victims.
I used to work up there, and that's how I met Maddie and Kaylee. And every time I was there,
I saw Kaylee and Maddie, and
she has since admitted that she had never met Kaylee.
The point is that I have ties to that community because my grandson lived right near the murder scene. I have a really close friend. Her daughter is a neighbor of theirs.
Hi, Destiny.
Hi, Zara.
How are you?
Destiny has started making tributes in honor of the victims.
Son and all. In memory of Kaylee Gonzalez, I wrote, "We love you," so that whoever finds this will know that we all felt this loss and that we all love her deeply.
How do you connect with someone that you haven't met?
Even though I never met Ethan or Kaylee or Xana, you don't have to know someone to be connected to them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like watching people on TV, right? You watch actors in a movie, you get to know them through interviews, you get to see how they react to questions. And with Kaylee and Xana and Ethan, you get to see them through TikTok. Unfortunately, I've had people say I'm obsessed with them.
Bro, she got mad and did the air quotes on that one. Did you see that? She got mad and did the air quotes. People claim that I'm obsessed with them. What do y'all think? You think she's a little obsessed? Where does obsession go? Where do you draw the line as a general concerned person and someone who feels like you lost a loved one? Panel guest, any thoughts?
Oh, it takes a lot of dedication to be that person. That's all I got. I mean,
Leslie?
I know I don't have that level of dedication because I work in things.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, 12 Gage. Do you have that level of dedication? Like, I don't.
No. I can barely do a video a night. I mean, it's all I can do. I mean, what do you think, Leslie?
I think you're both right.
Okay.
Hello, guys. Hi, Shonda. I'm doing something special. Hey, Jenny. So I want to show you guys, thank you for those compliments. I wanted to share with you guys something really special. I guess one of the positive things about being considered part of the true crime community is that in this weird juxtaposition of TikTok and true crime, I have come to know and love a lot of different people on TikTok, which is another reason that it drives me to continue to do lives and to continue to make content, because not only am I helping them, but they're helping me. Again, thank you so much for the compliments. I love you all, and I'll see you a little bit later.
What kind of comments were you getting?
A lot of comments about my hair being beautiful and my makeup and my outfit, which I couldn't really see the comments though, because of the brightness. But what I could see was very humbling and appreciated.
She couldn't see the comment.
Cat, her name is Destiny something. She's a creator on TikTok, and she got into briefings, and she misrepresented that she was with the local newspaper, and she wasn't. And she supposedly knew Maddie and Xana because she has family that lives in the area up there. She knows. She used to go to the Mad Greek, I guess, and I don't know.
And she
Before I came here and before I visited Moscow, I was scrolling through my social media, watching so much content day after day about the case. And I think I've really seen the impact on the community. I'm not saying I judge the online sleuths because I understand what it's like to feel validated on social media, but they are exploiting a situation for views, even though they may see it very differently. At the same time, without people like me watching the content, looking online, waiting for the next video to be uploaded, then the next theory and the next suspect, there wouldn't be a demand for it. You can't blame them for continually posting it as long as there's people like me watching it.
Sorry. How do you mute yourself?
I cannot.
Calm down over there, Trina.
Oh
no.
Oh my goodness. Some birthing has had like a government.
The fact that you recognize all that, I'm just impressed, I guess.
12 Gage, Rondi said that lady died.
She said what?
That she passed away.
Aww.
The one with the martial arts?
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder what from.
That's sad. But I mean, I wasn't making fun of her. I was making
I know. Which one you were making fun of?
No, I was
the
making
birthing. He's so sports medicine.
about Ann Taylor's
a whole lot
birthing
of
hip.
sports medicine, man. It's not her. It's just the people like her that want so badly to be connected to somebody, but they don't go out and find a real connection with real people. Does that, I mean, you know what I mean? I like coming on here and
Yeah.
talking, but like at the end of the day, I have people in real life that, yeah.
Or have do you have people in real life that you could be telling them a story or somewhere that you went and they try to one up you or they've done the same thing?
That's why we're friends.
Huh?
I said that's why we're friends. That's why we've been friends for so long.
I mean, I've done a lot of stuff, but I don't try to one up people. I mean, there's, I don't hold the most interesting man on the planet title.
No, I just trash.
But
TV.
anyways, you guys in chat, y'all made this a fun night. Thank you so much for your comments. I hope that you show up again tomorrow night. We're gonna try to have a guest on Black Hawk 57 Magnum. I'm sure Leslie will be here. Molly, I don't know if she has anything going on, but if she doesn't, she's welcome to be here as well. Hopefully next Friday will be a great Friday night interview. I've been looking forward to this interview for about, I'd say, almost 3 months. I emailed him today, so hopefully he will respond. I know he is a busy man. I have a couple interviews lined up that are going to be pretty insightful. But like I said, thank you so much for being here and thank you for your time. I'm going to let the maestro cue that music. Molly, you have anything to say to the chat before we leave? You or Leslie?
No, just thank you for the laughs and having me on. Sorry about my technical difficulties. But yeah, no, it's been great.
All right. Leslie?
Oh, Molly, it was really nice to meet you. I had a blast.
Before we leave, I want to play something though really quickly.
Someone runs up to him and says, "Hey, the world is coming to an end."
Cock, I hope you come tomorrow
Well, let's go
night.
to the mission and pray. And the second one says, "Well, hell, I'm gonna go buy me a case of mezcal and 6 whores. And the third one says, well, I shall finish the game. I shall finish the game, Doc.
Yes, you would. He's so cute.